John, I want to begin with you, please, since you're just joining us this hour. Talk to me here about this development yesterday. This was a big change in the murder charges the two teenagers were facing were dropped. Now 3 officers are facing charges for killing this little girl who was hit by a stray bullet. The bullet was never intended for her. It was intended at these 2 teenagers who were firing at police. What challenges does this case present for both sides, not just the officers, but for the state, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, who has to prove these charges that they've filed?
Well, I think, from the standpoint of the prosecution, I think they have a fairly straightforward case. I mean, most states have laws of transferred intent, and this is a case where you have some extremely reckless conduct. I mean, law enforcement is supposed to be trained, and I'm certain they are in this case. They were trained on how to use a firearm and when not to use a firearm. You're not use a firearm when it's a danger to the public safety, unless there's some extreme extenuating circumstances. And I'm not seeing that in this case. I mean, there's a crowd of people. There's a substantial risk that the bullet's going to hit somebody else or an unintended victim. And, so I think they're going to have a hard time arguing that they were justified in firing the weapon at the crowd in that nature. So as far as the defense goes, they're going to argue that, hey, the officers were feared for their life. They always say that. He feared for his life. He acted in self-defense. But if you're going to make that argument, you're going to need to show that there was no other opportunity to avoid being fired upon. They couldn't take cover or something along those lines. And I think under the circumstances, that's going to be an uphill battle for the defense.